recording right now. So you guys just talk normally. We're just gonna let this play. If it's a little bit too quiet, like let me know, or too loud, also let me know. And then we'll watch it. I've only seen very small snippets of this. And then we'll go ahead and get started.
I like the novelty of being introduced for once rather than being the one doing the introducing. David, are you with me? Can we get you on the screen?
Yeah, hi Steve.
How are you, mate?
You?
I've got to say,
I'm doing well.
David,
I've been kept up to date what's been happening in the blockchain week by a good friend of ours, Brian Ventura. He's been updating me every 30 minutes on all the great speakers you have in this show. So yeah, it's really good to see there's live show happening now.
David, I've spoken to you once before, and then when I did the research before that, the reason, given that I curated a lot of this stuff, I got to choose who I spoke to. Very deliberately, I said I'll speak to David. So the reason for me, the value I think you bring into this conversation is you didn't just show up, right? I mean, I think the real interesting bit, and we'll find lots of these details on YouTube if you want to go looking. Yours is a hell of a backstory. You know, if I watch videos that you were a part of years ago, I could release them today as something which is relevant to the communities that you built. So take us back in time, David. Tell us how you got here. Ultimately, you could talk, I know, for half an hour. I'd very happily listen. But give me the snapshot. Give me the 10-minute version of what that backstory was.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Backstory time. Really quick. No, I haven't seen any of your questions, Jinjin. So just ask them again. Ask them again. Sertil, I don't know if you're 1.25C. We're gonna 1.25 this just because I do want to get through this. As a 20-minute video, so, and I do want to give commentary on and off throughout. So
just going back to before the blockchain times, I've been in the gaming retail business for over 25 years. Have my own comic game, board game retail stores. Operated, as a single store now. It's all around the world. Got stores through mainly New Zealand here and up in Asia, and really just being involved with a lot of the brands what brings what we call the fandom. And what really resonated me and how I got into the business of the collectible is really about the community. It's similar to what we see in digital asset, crypto, and NFT today. So number one, more importantly, is that, the audience that I'm addressing in the industry I'm in, I always knew that I need to stay relevant. And I continue to see the audience into the gaming and the younger generations all about the screen time, and really to understand how we can address that audience and stay relevant in the industry I am. And 4.5 years ago, myself and my co-founder, Daniel, we got together. And by the way, I have known Dan for over 25 years. In 97, he built my first gaming website, and that's how we got together. And it was 5 years ago.
I know he's talking about the gaming stuff, but one thing he did say, well, there's a couple things I noticed that he did mention, that basically all these NFT spaces and all this stuff, it's all about community, right? Like look at Bored Ape Yacht Club, look at VEVE, look at HRO. It's all about community. I will say VEVE, and I haven't been a part of very many NFT communities, but so far people that have been on OpenSea and on multiple NFT not platforms, but NFT projects, unfortunately, most of them are rug pulls or people that have been parts of certain ones. But they have said over and over that like VEVE is one of the best communities, right? HRO is all right. I don't know. It's like still too new, and it's still too small, I think, to like really make a foundational community and have a bunch of memes and all that stuff. Like it's just like not old enough yet for the most part. But I think I want to bring up, if you guys actually look in the background, people mentioned it before too in his like his pre-recorded video. He had like a picture of Banksy, which is an artist. These two masks, I don't think that really means anything. There's Todd, there's Dad Bod Batman. If there's anything else I'm missing here that you guys might have like pointed out or seen, like let me know here too as well. Thanks, Vibe. I'm so happy we can actually get a chance at the drops again. I know other YouTubers and other users, though, the bots are no big deal, but it really does matter to me. Yeah, I mean, I think there was kind of like, for the longest time, there was just like it just seemed like there was no way to stop them, right? Other than taking super drastic measures. And we're like, dude, even with KYC, like none of that stuff is going to help. But it's nice. Yeah, it is nice seeing it. Does it suck that I can't do giveaways or allow the community to give me NFTs for giveaways and things like that? Yeah, that part is fun, but I'd rather see people actually like win drops, right? LaGroin Drames, why are peeps buying low mint VEVE NFTs? The best cereals are held by VEVE. I mean, there's still low mint ones, right? That's the one thing about VEVE. It's all subjective at the end of the day. What's considered a low mint. Me personally, I'm not a big low mint guy just because I think it's like very, very hard to liquidate, and you're probably at a certain point not going to be happy with the price that you eventually sell it for. So it's like I would rather buy 3 or 4 NFTs at floor price than one NFT with a low mint personally. Jin also commented there was only 11 white labbits on the market. Also interested to see the all-time highs for both white and black backstab labbits. Thanks. Yeah, okay. I didn't see that before. We'll take a look at that after all of this. Oh, look, the gems do work. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and get this playing, and I'll take a look at chat.
Met up again in Asia, and we were talking about digital asset, and we were intrigued with the technology around the blockchain. And obviously, back in those days, every other news we hear and read about is about security and about exchanges getting hacked or wallets being stolen and all the negative press around. So we thought, well, if anything does really grow into this industry, it's all about the security and the aspect around how we can protect these assets. So our first product that we produced and forte out was the secure wallet. And it's basically a piece of hardware, cold storage wallet that help you safeguard your asset. And really what we were thinking around is, well, wouldn't it be wonderful, you know, in my retail business, everything surrounding what I sell and the physical collectibles and what you see behind me in my studio is that eventually everything will be digitalized. Because right now you can see me having these collectibles because I'm sharing it with you through the Zoom. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could show it off everywhere we can in palm of our hand? And we, ever since then, with the background I have in licensing and gaming and the collectible industry, with Dan's background in technology and running his own successful business behind it, the two brains basically got together. And what we're known today is the NFT market. But 3.5 years ago, when we tried to sell this idea to publishers and studios, we almost get laughed at. And because people never thought, you know, why would anyone want to purchase a digital asset or a representation of a physical product? But what I really believe that the collectible business, number one, is about $270 billion a year. And back in that time, we already have games like Fortnite, Minecraft. And so the young audience that we know of today is already very used to purchasing intangible assets. And we thought, well, you know, wouldn't it be great if we could build something that's one day will be what we call the interruptible market to help and to move these assets, because you got users out there spending hundreds of hours, if not thousands of dollars, that they almost want to resell. Back in the days, you have to sell your CD key, you have to sell your password, and so on. And
All right, sorry. All right, I'm muted. Yeah. Okay. Please no Wolverine this weekend. You're muted. Okay, cool. I want to show you guys this. I know he was talking about you know, why companies are like, why would people pay for digital assets, or like, why would people pay for digital collectibles or whatever it is. I used to play a game, and you guys probably still heard of it, Team Fortress 2. Like, they've had this kind of whole unboxing kind of thing for like a very long time. You could basically open up crates, and that you could actually, I'm still not muted. I shouldn't be muted. Am I still muted? No, I'm not. You're just trolling me, Jin. That you could actually sell these hats, and like keys are actually worth like $250 in real life, and so people are asking for certain amounts and all that stuff. But like these unusual hats and stuff, you basically unboxed with a key. So you basically bought the key from the store for $250, and you basically got these unusual hats with different effects. So let me actually open up this thing. So actually open up this with all these hats at different effects that had glowing effects, moving effects while you're running around with your character in TF2 and all that stuff. And people are buying these hats and with these specialized effects, because there's different levels of effects. You know, there's the super rare, there's the ultra rare, there's the omega rare, there's common, there's different like levels of rarity tied to it. And people are paying hundreds of dollars, you know, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for some of these collectibles. And this is back in like 2012. Like this has been happening for like 10 years on TF2. People have been buying these super unusual special effects on their characters just to look cool, but also because they're super limited as well. So like this is actually where I learned a lot of stuff from digital assets and stuff like that, like how I just kind of knew innately. Team Fortress, I think it's Outpost, not Outpost. No, it's Backpack. Yeah, backpack.tf. I know a lot of you guys might have heard of Team Fortress 2. Counter-Strike Global Offensive has a large gun market, skin market. Exactly. This is literally no different. Special effects, all these kind of different things. Let's see. I'm going to drag this over here. So same thing with Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 has the exact same thing. And these are all people that have, I believe, access to the like server API and all that stuff. And there's a whole economy. There's refined metal, there's keys, there's earbuds. Earbuds was like a very limited time drop that they did for when they like TF2 released on Apple for the most part, because before it was just on PC for a long time. Then eventually they released it on Apple, iOS, Mac. That's what it's called for PC. They've released it on Mac. So there's almost like there was so little earbuds that they kind of became their own currency. And like if we look at I know this sounds crazy, but it's like if we look at top inventories, gifters, spreadsheet browsing, browse by item. Okay. This might lag a bit just because there's so many of them. So these are all the hats in the game, and there's tons of them. All these hats that you see, there is whenever you open a crate for basically $2.50. There's a 1% chance you'll get an unusual hat, and then that unusual hat will have an unusual effect. So if we look at something like, we'll look at the Team Captain, which is a classic hat. So this hat you can only get with the earliest boxes in the game. The only way you can get the Team Captain, which is the same hat that kind of the bad guy in Street Fighter. I forgot his name, but the bad guy in Street Fighter this is the same hat that he has, just kind of like a cool look. And so the Burning Flames one is 7,600 keys, which is right now worth about 13 grand. That's an extremely rough estimate. And some of these prices are old. That's just like the most recent like confirmed purchase for the most part, I believe. So there's 18 of these that exist, and there's 6 of these, 3 of these, so on. So it shows all these different rarities. So there's like a Burning Flames, there's a Orbiting Planets, there's a Aces High, which has a bunch of cards floating around it. There's a peace sign, just a peace sign floating around the hat. Green Energy, and these are all different effects of the same hat. And so people are buying these for, like I said, thousands of dollars for the most part. So this whole like loot box, rare variant, rarity like kind of thing is pretty exclusive. And the only way you can get a Team Captain hat, let alone a Burning Team Captain, is if you basically buy the equivalent of like these cards, right? So like the marketplace, that's why I'm kind of bullish on just holding these cards super long term on HRO, is because only certain cards can be unboxed or be opened by using this pack, and that's it, right? Because beyond that, it's going to be impossible to get those old cards, unless you buy them in the secondary market for an absurd price for the most part. It is a little bit different because we just don't know how many Team Captains of each are left. It is what it is. But in HRO, you know exactly how many are left. So I do think that's kind of a weird nuance with that is kind of like a weird nuance with like those kind of digital collectibles versus, Team Fortress 2 or even Pokemon. Like people don't know how many holographic Charizards are left. There could be 10 left. There could be 1,000. Nobody knows. So I know that was like a long tangent that's completely unrelated to what we're kind of talking about here, but
anyway,
but long story short, it's like I've been doing that kind of stuff for like 10 years. So I kind of understood some rarity and all that stuff.
Kind of shelved that space because we thought there was far, something that we could achieve. So what we wanted to do was, back then, there was only few competitors, and don't get me wrong, we were inspired by, at the time, with what CryptoKitty came out, and we really understood why would people want to have this type of entertainment and this type of asset and where the gaming world is heading into. But we wanted to build something that is truly unique. So as you know of today, the app is called VEVE. It's available in both Android and Apple Store. So you can download it in the palm of your hand. And what we cover in our app is really, number one, our target audience is the mass market. we really believe that to get massive adoptions, you need to have an easy onboarding process. And I really do believe that, if you really have to get MetaMask wallet, and there's nothing wrong with all these, and getting the gas fees, getting your wallet top up, it does require a lot more skill. And then what we wanted to do was easy onboarding, and also in the vice versa, easy onboarding for the brands that we have. The VEVE App today, we work with partners such as Marvel, Disney, 20th Century Fox, Lucasfilm, Pixar. I think we have Sony, MGM, CBS, Viacom, Warner DC, and many other artists in our category. And what we really built.
It's funny, as he was like listing them all off, he's like, geez, those are all big companies that are hard to get partnered with, right? So even the guy on the right, I don't know his name, don't know anything, that even he recognizes those IPs are pretty big. I did want to address chat really quick. They said, chiming in, feasible suggestion for set holders. Example, if you hold all the sets from Series 1 of a set, you should get early access to one of the blind box of Series 2, or I should say black and white set. VEVE did mention something like that. I don't know if that's exactly how they're going to set up, but they said they're not against the idea of doing a whitelist, and they might do it. They might give utility to set holders in that sense. So kind of curious, but they did say that is a possible thing. I'm not sure if that was like recent Alex that said that in the most recent AMA, or was it Trevor that was on the like NFT Pirates interview that they did. Honestly forgot which one or which group of people said it, but they did say something about like a whitelist and all that stuff, and they're not opposed to the idea of it, and they'll probably do it eventually. I'm sure probably some for master collector or holder points, maybe if you're in like really upper echelon potentially, but also for people that just hold certain sets, right? Dang, Dag was flexing. Yeah, he was. Need some help there. Sell my number 94 UR Moon Knight to buy a common Spider-Man. Sell my number 94 UR Moon Knight to buy a common Spider-Man. At that point, I mean, if you can get a good price for the UR Moon Knight, maybe. But if not, I feel like the Moon Knight hype has already kind of died off a bit. You could maybe still sell it. But other than that, I mean, getting a 2-digit ultra rare Moon Knight, that's pretty damn good. So honestly, I would just kind of hold on to it at this point. And like I said, if you can get a good price for it, sure. But I mean, getting a common Spider-Man isn't bad either. Personally, I'd probably just hold on to it and just try and find the right buyer, given that it's already been more than a week and a half since the Moon Knight drop. To be honest, like personally, if I did get like a very low 2-digit or just any kind of 2-digit NFT, I'd probably try and sell it as fast as I can within like 48 hours, because that's when it's going to have the most hype, right? But if I can get rid of it, or if I couldn't get the price I wanted for it, I would just hodl it long term, kind of like what Slider is saying.
It's something truly unique. Number one is fandom. So you come into the app, and the idea is you will see all the characters in the nostalgia TV programs or gaming characters that you once know of when you grew up, all in one. And how we have been expanding this business is, number one is we sell the collectibles as the NFT, and these collectibles are sold in what we call a drop system, and we celebrate the drop system. So every week and throughout the week we have these releases, and you need to be in the app and be there first. So far, everything's been selling out within a second or two, and that's created a big community, thinking, are these digital assets are made for just resale, or these are collectibles for people who want to enjoy the fandom. So what we really wanted to achieve in the second stage was really understand how we can get the creative economy going. And the beauty about the creative economy is really sharing that fandom, sharing that data, that image of you in social through Instagram or your favorite social media, and get that become the talking topic. And the other important part in the VEVE app is what you have seen behind me is the physical collectibles. I have them hanging on throughout my gallery. I have things sitting on the shelf. So we created an almost like a mixed reality, a 0.5 towards the metaverse. And we wanted to see if that experience is what the users and customer wants. And what we do is we have curated these, what we call defaults. Users can easily place the collectibles that they own into the.
I don't know about easily place them. If any of you guys spend any kind of time in the vault trying to place anything down, it is a pain in the ass, especially if you're trying to do certain angles and stuff. I'll say it's definitely easier in the vault than doing AR. Dude, doing AR at times is such a pain. Especially if you're trying to work with like a relatively confined space, or if you didn't have something that like a perfectly flat surface or whatever it is. But he did mention something earlier about kind of just like letting the creative side of like community or like the market or something coming out. And that's something he's even asking too, is like, all right, are these things like actually collectibles, or are people just using these as a means of just flipping and kind of trapping other, not necessarily trapping, but just like trying to pawn off the NFT to someone else for some profit, and then that's it, right? I think it's perfectly fine. Eventually, when there's enough collectors on the app, like everything is going to get held up for the most part, right? So eventually, there's going to be enough people on the platform where a majority of them will be hodlers, and prices will go up, and certain hodlers either will never sell or they'll only sell for a certain price, right? Like everyone has a price when you get high enough, right? For certain collectibles and stuff like that. Yeah, so I thought it was just kind of funny. It's like, oh, you can easily place it down or whatever. But I think it's also funny that just David was kind of saying, like, even we're trying to figure out, like, is this whole metaverse and AR thing, is that something that people really want? Are these NFTs that we're releasing, are they really collectibles, or are people just flipping them? Like, we're still trying to figure out like how to navigate what the community wants. Easily, yeah. Hey man, I joined in January and bought when everything was going to 100K. I'm way down. I'll be holding forever. Yeah, that's the only alternative, right? That's really unfortunate. I feel so bad. I really feel really bad for anyone that joined VEVE during January, or like January or February. Like, let's say mid-January and anytime in February. It's unfortunate.
Default in different dimensions, size-wise, so they can fit as much as they want. They can curate their own room. They can share the room through the images, and they can walk through it through the augmented reality mode that we have available on the mobile phones. And that really allows the fans to be engaged in walking into it. And that basically is how we really utilize the initial content of all these NFTs we have. We really wanted to produce something a lot more around utility value. So late last year, we partnered up with Disney Plus, where every NFT of the golden moment that you purchase, it gives you a subscription, either a 3 months or a 12-month subscription. We have done NFT programs with MGM Bond with their movie releases. And in recent weeks, we also released Aston Martin DB5 in our app. And now that is taking the NFT to another level, where the utility value go as far as being interactive, as well as being you're able to control and drive the car as you know of in the movie. So you can you can touch the lights, the machine gun comes out, you have all the gadgets inside, and basically with your remote control on the phone, it's out, you can drive it around. And that's where we really start to think, you know, where the possibility of these NFT and what really the audience and people have known as Web 3.0.
Would you guys consider that gamification or utility on the Aston Martin? I know he says utility, but is that more of a gamification thing, that the fact that you can drive it around and shoot with it and all that stuff? Is that, or is that kind of one of the same? Or is it like, or is gamification under utility? Like, here's utility, and one of the things of utility happens to be gamification. Because in my mind, when I think of utility, I think of real life utility, things like Disney Plus, or you get a half off % of that. But I do think Disney and other platforms are even utility in the sense of getting an airdrop, right? Even then, is that more of gamification, where you're just trying to get all the drops or get all the whole set? Kind of curious what you think. Should I sell my grandpa between today and before the weekend drop release info? Weekend drop release info. Looks to me always buy cheap Sunday and sell Wednesday. I mean, that highly depends, right? I mean, if you're going to sell grandpa, you like any day in the last couple days probably would have been better. I don't know. So it's hard to say. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I mean, we're having a full week of just like comics, right? Just that series of comics. Gamification, in my opinion, good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was just kind of curious what you guys thought, whether it's utility or gamification. So I do think gamification is a sub topic, or a sub like genre, whatever you want to call it, of utility. Good point about gamification. Sounds more accurate than utility. Yeah, I would say so. Because I think utility is something that, I mean, so airdrop is considered utility, but is that more gamification? Like utility, I feel like it's like a real life effect. So maybe gamification is something that happens internally in the game or the market or the app, where it's like, if I get an airdrop, that's gamification. If I can drive it around, that's gamification. But in real life, that's utility. That's actually bridging the digital to the real, right? At least in my line, at least in my thought. I mean, I know driving around in AR is kind of bridging reality and gamification. I don't know, but gamification, not utility. He's making a sales pitch to buy the vehicle NFTs, not a good sign. I don't know. I don't think he's like trying to mislead people, right? Oh, he's technically correct. You can drive it around. You can shoot with it. You can, there is the AR thing, right? I don't think he's purposely trying to mislead people. Also, like, I do think there are certain words that David says, because English is not his first language, that he might get some words mixed up, right? In my opinion, technically it's utility, but it's more accurately, it's probably gamification. That used to be how it worked, but now if you don't sell in the first day or so, it's hard to get any profit out of items. Yeah, luckily Grandpa is still like around 200 gems, at least last I saw, but like, I don't know, if I owned it, I probably would have sold it, around 250 or something like that, ideally.
And really just trying to get into that space. So Steve, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight about what we're doing, and hopefully, you got some questions for me.
David, you've just described that as if it was a linear thing that you do, right? That is so not linear. As you're talking, at one end of the spectrum, your fans, the fans of your platform, they're crazy. You broke our website last time. When we did NFT Fest with Rochelle and Greg, you said, I'm doing this. They crashed the website. Mate, you go, they go. So, that fandom focus for me is an extraordinary thing to sort of watch. Tell me,
his army.
Just the fact that, you yourself are a fanboy when it comes to this sort of fandom element. Those collectibles aren't recent sort of additions. How do you tap into that? Because at the other end of the conversation, it's this brand play. I'm
that's what I
figured. That the mechanism for building those relationships with those brands, they're all the brands.
And that's what I mean. Like, technically, is it gamification? Yes. Like, it's gamification that the DB8 car from 007. But real life use, I mean, arguably, yeah, you're driving it around in a real life environment. I don't know, but that's the way I see it. Is, in my opinion, utility is something that bridges outside of the app into reality. Is it like, what kind of real life benefit do I get from actually owning this NFT, other than just selling it to someone else for money, right? Other than that.
In the world people want to build relationships with, David. So, they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Normally the skills you need at one are not the skills at the other. So talk to me about the fan base. They're rabid in a positive way. How is it you maintain that understanding of exactly what it is they want? Because you say it again casually, these things are selling out in a few seconds. Like the prospect that you can create a product and it sells out in seconds, and then you watch the after sort of sale chatter, which is people are desperately disappointed they missed out. Talk to me about the fans first.
Yeah, so this came with a little bit of experience what I do in the physical retail. So I want our audience to understand, and your fans and the people watching this, is that we really believe a terminology that I quite often use is the second secret. So behind any of my retail stores, I do have a gaming space, and the gaming space do take up to half of the retail shop, and you see tables and chairs. And the whole idea of that is that you have gamers that will come in, whether if it's playing trading card games, their tabletop Warhammer games, they will sit down in a sunny day, in a raining day, in 30 minutes, they will make new best friends. Why? Because they speak the same language. That terminology I use is the second secret, is really understanding
they speak nerd.
What people love in the fandom. And Steve, I know I met you outside this blockchain. I think I met you possibly in gaming show. You dress up as one of the Pokemon characters. Yeah. And once I know you love Pokemon, I know you have a similar interest as me, whether if you like to dress up as a Pokemon or you like to play the trading card game. So that second secret is very important. And then how we dive in and how we make that stickiness, it is quite important in the collectible space. And in any business, you want to make that collectible have that collectability. You want to make one less collectible than what the market is able to absorb and take in. So the control of scarcity, and the beauty about the blockchain is that it allows us to control the provenance, the scarcity, the issuance, and when we'll start are very, very crucial part in our business. And obviously, making that product really sticky, making that product that people will love. And don't get me wrong, not every
Real quick then, because I bring up a good point, like airdrops are more utility. In your guys' opinion, when we look at this, when we look at the leaderboard for HRO, is this gamification or utility? When you look at this leaderboard, is this gamification or utility? Or is the act of the leaderboard gamification, but the fact that you can get an airdrop is utility? Which one is it? And then if the airdrop, or if it's all the same, if this is all gamification, it's like, well, it's gamification because if people are competing like a game, I don't know what it is. Then if that's the case, then like, how is this any different than just owning a whole set? Like, why not have a list of people that own the set? You know, it's just not a list we can see. I don't know. Do I risk my account if I sell Topi for over 500 gems to a buyer he's willing to pay for it? All I know is that there are certain NFTs I think VEVE are looking out for. Off-app purchases, as far as I know, is not a bannable offense, but stealing gems or basically replicating gems or doing anything like that and then giving it to someone else, like, you know, that could get you in trouble, as far as I know. Honestly, that's not really a question for me because I've never bought gems off app. That's probably more of a Dino question. If you do have any questions like that kind of stuff, like Dino and like Kobe Collects and those kind of people will probably help you out with like that. Leaderboard is definitely gamification. Airdrop sounds like utility. Interesting. So those two aspects they can kind of work with each other. So this is gamification. The airdrop is utility. Okay, I can get on board with that. Because I guess you could sell the airdrop in the in-game market and make a bit more money, right? You know, because it is an exclusive thing. Thanks. Yeah, that's what I would say. So I was just kind of curious what you guys thought. All right, let's go back to here. People are gonna hate this video because I'm gonna be all over the place, but whatever.
Every single item is a home run hit. Our audience basically get a good taste of it, and their appetite gets you know deeper and deeper. They want better things. And
one other thing I forgot to talk about when David Yu, and he's so true. So when David Yu was talking about making friends, how people sit down, and like, it's true. A lot of the game stores I went to when I used to live in like the San Francisco Bay Area, I used to go to like Oakland, South San Francisco, all those places, and go to all these game stores. And I used to play D&D there. There was a period of time I didn't know what D&D was until I watched Critical Role, and I was like super addicted. I'm like, this is so cool. I always heard of D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons. No idea what it was, no idea what it entailed until I watched it. And I'm like, this seems like a lot of fun. And so I went to some local game stores, played it there, and I made some like really cool friends there. You know, people from that's one cool thing is like, doesn't matter where you are, where you're from, what you believe in, what you look like. It doesn't matter any kind of like, none of that stuff matters. I made some of my best friends there for the most part, and it's true. Like an entire section of the game place is like usually dedicated for people. You know, card games like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff are just like way more profitable for like the game store. So there's usually not like a huge section for people to like play Dungeons and Dragons, but like they have, all the time they have like card tournaments for Magic the Gathering, right? You know, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, mostly. I think it's mostly Magic the Gathering nowadays, but like Yu-Gi-Oh is also I guess it depends on the card store and the demographic of people that do come in and all that. But like a whole section of the store would just be for people to hang out and like play games, which is true. I never played any of those games. There's also a section where people play like Warhammer 40K, which those games last like 3-4 hours long. Like I don't know how people play those kind of games for that long, but yeah, so we'll get back to this. It's unfortunate, but I'm liquidating my whole collection. Inflation is forcing my hand. Wish I could have sold the whole lot in January, but it is what it is. Afternoon drinking stream? No. I'm chilling on drinking for now.
Our job as a content creator company is that we need
nothing to do with drinking.
Fulfill that appetite from our users. And something else quite importantly is to understand the secondary market. And that's a big part in any collectible business and comic and physical toys, is that people sometimes often buy something and they go on the eBay or auction websites and look at what's trending and what's going on. And these things are very, very relevant. And what really works very well with VEVE does, we help our brand partners really convey their brand messages to the audience. So we sit very close to day, you know, we really believe that it is very relevant for the fans to the superheroes or the movie character that you see on the screen. are relevant to them, and they're growing up, they're thinking, wow, you know, that's how I want to see a Spider-Man, or that's how I want to see Batman appears next to me. So these are the sticky points, what makes VEVE a true collectible app, as well as that creative economy, that user-generated content, which I mentioned. It's all about having the users to able to create their own not just fantasy, but create their own artwork. That's something that's more meaningful. It become more personalized, and we see that's becoming more and more relevant. And that our target moving on as a company will be shifting more towards that as well.
So that's one end of the spectrum, David. I'm mindful I've got 5 minutes left, and this is why I said we could probably go for a long, long time. That's user experience. You nail it. And again, you're talking over things that most people can't appreciate. That user experience is so difficult to get right. We jump to the other end of the spectrum here. You mentioned a few of them: Marvel, 20th Century Fox, Pixar, Lucasfilms, Disney, Warner Brothers, NBC, Universal, Sony, CBS, Viacom. You're just showing off at this point in time, mate. I mean, those relationships, any one of them, people would flex them into rooms. How the hell do you build that suite of relationships, you know, in this environment, given how many incentives are sort of in market? That's an extraordinary mix of businesses to be engaged with.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Just the truth to be said is that it took multiple years.
Multiple years. And I'm just badass. Like, there is that too. He's definitely, he was definitely like flexing a bit. He was just kind of like name dropping all these companies he's working with. And all that stuff. And I really think like all this stuff is just going to take so long to unfold. Like I said, we're so early. And I don't think a lot of us, I didn't realize how early we were. Like, I know people always said like, oh, we're early. But it's true, because like we got to see what the buying power looks like of 2 million users, right? Stuff sold out instantly. We couldn't get anything. I mean, of course, that's basically bots, right? But now that like we're kind of finding out that like probably like the actual user base of VEVE, like the actual active user base of like humans, might be closer to like 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, somewhere closer to there. And it wasn't until like after we got rid of a lot of the bots, I'm like, we're buying multiple drops, right? We're buying multiple Batmans, multiple comics, multiple stuff. I'm like, shit, we're still kind of early with all this stuff, right? Like, to be quite honest, like we're still really early with a lot of this stuff. So it's who knows, like some of this stuff might not pan out, which is why the all-time high thing that we saw back in January was crazy. I do think it could get repeated again with interoperability or like OMI to NFT or something like that. So we could see that, but still, we're still super early. Spent years getting licenses, but no working search bar. Is it annoying? Yes, but yeah, I think search bar isn't as complex as they make it out to be, but also I do think they only have so many resources to allocate for a search bar, right? Like, is the search bar really causing you to like just lose thousands of dollars in profit like every month? Unlikely. If it was an issue that big, I think they probably would have made it, but it's just more of a I don't want to say it's like a novelty, because it should be just like a baseline function. Like, don't get me wrong. Is it annoying? Yes, but it is what it is. It's not enough to cause me to like quit the platform because they don't have a search bar. Me personally. Yeah, Dino is in here. Egg Gang Group, laughing it up. The low number of accounts with 100 collectibles or more makes me very bullish on MCP. Yeah, there is that as well. I don't know how many have like under 100, but if I had to guess, like accounts that probably have more, like let's just say there's 500,000 people total on VEVE, whatever it is, 500,000. Like probably people that have more than like 20 collectibles is probably like 50K. Like they have like more than 20, maybe a little bit less than that. Because there's a whole lot of people that like won a couple drops, then found out that like they can't win anymore because of bots, and they just like quit VEVE, or they just gave up, whatever it is. So now I'm kind of curious, Slider, how many accounts do you only have 100 collectibles or less? I'm one of them. I don't have 100 collectibles.
Is to build this relationship. As I mentioned in my earlier conversation, is that these brands at the start, they didn't really understand why it would be relevant, why this creative economy or this brand and digital collectible or NFT is ever going to take off. So it was very, very hard. As we build the product out, we help and we go back. And I believe myself and Dan, we've taken over 500 plus meetings, and every time we go back, we will show them our roadmap and how we will be sticky. They ask a lot of serious questions. And Steve, so we should understand, this is a continuous movement in legislation, regulations, digital asset. Everything is, there's a lot of moving parts happening all at once. So the content creation and the licensing is only sitting in one department which we oversee. And as you know, regulators are now understanding a little bit more about crypto or NFT or digital asset around. They want to put regular frames around it. How do we protect the users, security, and so on. And even just being on the Apple App Store and getting approval in these mobile devices is always challenging. They come back with a series of questions. So rest assured, these were not phone calls that you pick up last April or early on this year and go, hey, would your brain like to do some NFT with us? Certainly not. It is years of experience in working with these brands and cultivating that and understanding what message they want to convey to their audience and putting and curating a great program for that brand to be relevant to again.
So David, down to the last 2 minutes, given that you were from the future a few years ago, and I assume you live in the future now, what's the alpha for the thousands of people that are going to be watching this for us?
Oh, what's the alpha? Dude, he's saying it. Everyone's saying it. Dino's saying it. Everyone's saying the alpha now. Yeah, everyone's kind of saying how many, but quality over quantity. There is that. Like same here, Mendez flips. If I really wanted to, I could have 250 collectibles. I could have 400 collectibles of just, very low tier collectibles or comics or whatever it is. But it's like, most of my stuff is relatively quality. And like my vault is down super low. I actually just double checked. Like my collectibles are down to like 6.5K and like my comics are down to like 2K, which is really crazy compared to what they were not long ago. I had 211 comics and 130 comics, and it was sitting at 50K. Yeah. My 5640. I have almost 102. I have 102. Almost all comics. 23 rare, 5 ultra rare, and a ton of uncommons, and almost all the grails in common comics. Nice, Slider. That's awesome.
Where are you thinking this is going? What do you think people are underappreciating at the moment, if you sort of just cast your lens forward a little bit?
Yeah, number one, the industry is such a fast-moving speed. We're moving as fast as any blockchain can transact at the moment, 24/7, probably 40,000 transactions a second. And trust me, every one of our audience, and I'm pretty sure you're listening or watching this, you want everything now. For us, is to ensure that we are building a fundamental for much longer term and understanding the landscape where we are navigating to. A key part in the business every day I look at, it's not just about bridging something that is very short term and it's going to solve a problem for 4 or 5 months. We are constantly looking at, for example, give you a perfect example, is interoperable. Most of our fans want our NFT to be interoperable in different marketplaces. We are thinking way beyond that, because solving that it's what the blockchain technology and all these different layers of protocol are doing. We're thinking, how can we have better utility interoperable into what the buzzword right now is the metaverse. It's not just listing your product on another wallet or exchange, it's how you can utilize that product, that digital asset, in another game or another format in different interoperable abilities. So that's where we really see the long scale is, you want more utility out of it. Because the entry level into NFT is much lower than where it was about 4 years ago. If you watch a YouTube, Google it, you can mint your NFT in many platforms out there. But, to create that content and that community and have that long lasting effect is a very key part every day how we think going forward, Steve.
David, I said I could chat. I think we'll have to start chatting more regularly as well. You've described, again, in very simple terms, complicated businesses. I think you are absolutely the embodiment of what people should look at here, because when people talk about scale, you can speak to the issue of scale, you can speak to the issue of IP rights, you can speak to the issue of commercial rights with businesses that are extraordinarily large. So I would imagine that it gives you a bit of a reason to chuckle when people tell you blockchain and crypto and digital assets aren't yet a thing. Thank you for your time, David. Very, very much appreciated, and try not to crash our websites if you can.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, dude, that was a crazy interview, especially like what Dino said, the last minute right around here.
In different interoperable abilities. So that's where we really see the long scale is, you want more utility out of it. Because the entry level into NFT is much lower than where it was about 4 years ago. If you watch a YouTube, Google it, you can mint your NFT in many platforms out there. But, to create that content and that community and have that long lasting effect is a very key part every day how we think.
Back here.
We're thinking, how can we have better utility interoperable into what the buzzword right now is the metaverse. It's not just listing your product on another wallet or exchange, it's how you can utilize that product, that digital asset, in another game or another formats in different interoperable abilities. So that's where we really see the.
So he's basically saying like they're already thinking of trying to make it interoperable, not with just, you know, other exchanges and other things. He said the buzzword right now is metaverse, but like being able to put it on different games and stuff like that. I don't think he really mentioned like real life utility. I'm sure he did. He might have hinted at it or whatever, but just having the real life utility of if you own certain NFTs, you do get certain benefits and all that stuff too, right? So I agree with Disease for Dinner. Like David Hughes, like 25 steps ahead of us, or at least like their plan is, right? The utility and all that stuff. And I do think it's good that VEVE in a sense has competition, or they're just seeing what all the other NFT projects are doing to kind of keep their community interested in what brings additional value to NFTs, other than the fact that it's like, all right, cool, like Spider-Man's cool, Walt is cool, you know, all these NFTs are cool, but like what else can I do with it other than look at it and it's a collectible, right? If we do add added utility to it, that could be a big deal. So that's cool to see that they actually have plans for utility or interoperability beyond just like the metaverse. They are planning on all kinds of stuff. So yeah.